We are Travis and Margaret Stewart. We are from Provo, Utah. We've been married 33 years, and we have 6 children, 2 grandchildren. We're kind of thrilled to be here to tell our story. At the same time, we're a bit terrified. But I don't know, I think we feel strongly enough that, man, we got to talk about this, because personally I can't bear the thought that there might be anybody out there who maybe's been through what I've been through, or maybe still going through what I'm going through. But from an early age, I realized that I was different in my family, different from my siblings, especially different from my brothers. We're all very close in age. But growing up, I realized I wasn't like them. My realization that I was different from my brothers, and maybe even other people around me, it was probably more noticeable in my family, but kind of began to change and morph in a way that surprised me. When I was about 12 or 13 years old, I was on a Little League football team. My uncle coached Little League football, and I was a big kid, and he recruited me to come and play. And there was a player on the team that I suddenly developed this crush for. Just didn't really say anything. What do you do? And kind of continued forward. We got into junior high school, and we continued to play football on the same team together. And I think that was always still kind of there. And I think other boys in my life would kind of come in and out of that same kind of feeling of crushes, or of noticing that they were handsome. About I think the summer between my 7th and 8th grade year, I remember learning about this kid at school who was a year older than I was. And he was gay. I don't think he was openly gay, and we didn't have the term gay back then. I remember people talking about him, and the way they talked about him, I recognized that there was something in me that was kind of like him, and that was really alarming. What this really started for me was a huge journey in shame and in denial. And so I just had to keep upping whatever I could do. And a big part of coping for me was just stay busy, have something to do, fill every waking moment with something to do, so that you don't have to be alone in your head with this. And so, man, I jumped into everything.
Which is probably at this point an important thing to point out, that one of the things we've learned in the last few years in this journey together, talking about what does this mean and reconciling this, is coming to understand that as you're growing up, you adopt certain beliefs and meaning about what your story is. What does it mean that I feel this? What do I believe about that? I believe that it is bad to be this. Therefore, that belief goes in you, and you start acting in ways that plays out in your life. And how one of the major works we've had to do in our marriage and in our own personal lives is to challenge the beliefs that were formed at a very early age about what it means to be this, or this.
Now, I wasn't raised in the church, didn't go to church, but the time I finished high school and moved off to college, I began to become active in the church. And at the time, it was just a huge blessing for me. It was like this thing that I could grab a hold of that made sense. And it gave meaning and purpose to the chaos in my life, of my family, and on these other things. And it gave me hope about a future. And I left on a mission within like 6 months. And that was a really great turning point for me as well. Again, it was part of this keeping me busy, keeping my mind busy, go, go, go. It was great as a missionary, because you're just overwhelmed all day long with everybody else's worries and problems. You don't have time to think about your own, which for me was a really great blessing. I know for others that's, could really be a problem in trying to serve. I was called to go to South America, to Chile. I just had this outstanding, amazing, wonderful experience. I just felt free of these feelings, these attractions, this burden in my mind and in my heart. I felt like it wasn't there to fight off like it had been prior to my mission. I came back from my mission, came back to school. I went to Provo, to BYU, and got back into school. And started working at the Provo Missionary Training Center as a teacher. That really kind of began an interesting time frame of moving into lots of service in the church. In fact, when I met Margaret and when we got engaged and got married, I was actually serving, when we got married, I was serving in a branch presidency in Provo. And so our first time going to church, she was sitting in the pew alone while I was on the stand. And that began, which was really been of our 33 years married.
About 30.
About 30 of them, of me being in some type of a priesthood leadership responsibility that had me in something that at least required me to be away from her on the stand or in some other capacity. And, you know, at branch presidencies, bishoprics, I've served as a bishop. I served on a few high councils. I was a counselor in a couple of stake presidencies for about a dozen years.
It was 11 and a half years.
And then
I know exactly how long it was.
And then ultimately we had the really awesome opportunity and blessing to serve as a mission president and wife and preside over a mission of the church in Texas for 3 years. About 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, I was released from being the bishop. And for the first time in 30 years, I didn't have something significant of a calling to be doing. You know, not that it was significant, but
busy.
This busy type thing was kind of suddenly gone. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, ooh, wow, is this, ooh, what do I do with this? I mean, it was like foreign, super foreign. And got a little painful, got a little hard, because I was left with my head, left with less things to consume my energy and my emotion for someone else. And about the same time, I began to have this strange feeling, this welling up in me, that I needed to tell Margaret about my same-sex attraction. And it was like, unlike anything I've ever experienced, it's like, what? No, we're not going there. No, we're not going there. All I can say is it must have been from God, because it sure wasn't from me. Until one Sunday morning, I woke up and it just came out.
And as he starts, he's actually trembling, and he's talking about his experience. And when he actually says the words, I have same-sex attraction, it's like all he can do to get it out. And all we could do was just hug each other as he wept. And I just knew at that moment, my job, my responsibility, and I'm so thankful to God for giving me this perspective so that I didn't have to guess at what I was supposed to do in that moment, was to just be with him in it.
I actually said it. I admitted it. I said the words. And I had no idea what admitting it would do to me. And it just brought on this depressive, terrible feeling of hopelessness. I've had to face and confront some of the most difficult and super terrifying things in my life. And somehow in all of that, there's been this little glimmer of godliness. Something's divine going on here. And sometimes it was nothing more than a speck. But I could never deny that there's something bigger than me going on here. I'm not to the point of saying this has all been worth it. Because, but I'm pretty sure at some point I'm going to look back at this and going, man, this has been the best thing that God could have ever done with me and my marriage and my family and my relationship with my family and my relationship with others and my relationship with God. Because for the first time in my life, I really think He likes me. He doesn't hate me. He's always loved me.